To be very clear as to why I am cutting communication with him, I am terrified of him. I am terrified of his behavior, the man he's grown into. I am disappointed. I lost my best friend, and he's become this person I don't even recognize or feel safe around anymore.
This is going to be a very long one, and I want you guys to stick around because I would really like to hear what you guys think about this particular video. When I came across this creator's video, she had thrown out a question to women especially, and when I came across that video, I was so happy because I think it's about to be wild story time from people. She threw out the question about red pill content. She said the women who had lost their men to red pill content should come forward and tell us the story of what happened and how that happened, like how everything just scattered. And you guys, I was expecting to just be seeing stitches and just be hearing some wild stories that will either be funny or just make you, not so sad, till I click on the comments, and the comments is just like so freaking sad. Like, people were literally sharing how their family went from 100 to 0 just because of red pill content, how their happy family ended up being a very sad, not fun environment for them anymore because of red pill content. This is basically the danger and the aftermath of people who followed red pill content and how it affects their relationship, marriages, and all of that. I want you guys to stick around, and I have put together all of these clips. So without wasting much time, let's just get right into it.
Where are all the women who lost their male partners to red pill content? Front and center, please. Because I want to know what happened. I want to know how he started off when y'all got together and how red pill content changed him and how the partnership ended. What did that look like? And I also want to know, how did it feel to lose somebody you thought you knew to something as trivial and shallow as red pill content? Where are all the women who lost their male partners to red pill content? Front and center, please.
I wouldn't say I lost him because I know exactly where he went. When all of that stuff started coming out, and also when Trump won the election and got more popular, but on a different stage this time, it was like the man who I had initially gotten together with and married, suddenly he was allowed to say the quiet parts that he'd been thinking the whole time out loud. All that stuff normalized being crazy, being misogynistic, being awful, because it was so popular as well. A lot of men, my ex-husband included, started to think that it was okay. So we're divorced now.
Where are all the women who lost their male partners to red pill content? Front and center, please.
Oh my God, story time, because this was literally me. So me and my current boyfriend, because yes, we are still together, but let me tell the story. We got together 4 years ago. And when we first got, y'all know I struggle to talk, right? Well, I struggle real bad. When me and my boyfriend first got together 4 years ago, he was a totally different guy, even than like the guy he is today. He had just gone through some stuff. He was working on himself, and honestly, like, he was an easy guy to fall for. Like, successful, had his own house, the works. But like, slowly over the course of the time we were together, I noticed like this change in his behavior, and he slowly kind of started to devolve. Like, he wasn't treating me the same way. We didn't talk as much, and I honestly didn't enjoy being around him. Like, I didn't like him. But like, right when I started getting to a breaking point, I noticed one day, like, I heard on his phone, Mr. Andrew. And it all clicked. Like, it all started making sense. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be an uphill battle. And I'm not gonna lie, we fought like daily for a long time. It was a lot of fighting. But eventually I realized, like, he was hurting, and I had to really meet him where he was and try empathy instead of anger and judgment. And it was very hard for me to do. And I'm not even going to sit here and act like it's something that is even worth doing with everybody, but I realized that he was a really good person and he was worth doing that with. So like, your relationship doesn't have to fall apart. It just took, I'm not going to lie, like years, truly. Like, just as much time as we had spent together before that, we spent almost that same amount of time working on our relationship after that. But I also feel like that's why it's so important to realize that Andrew Tate is the only person talking to these men. And if you want a different result, you have to talk to that man.
Where are all the women who lost their male partners to red pill content? Because I want to know what happened.
Yeah, I'm right here. I lost one of the loves of my life. One of my best friends, had known him over 20 years since before we were born, to red pill content, and I want to talk about it today. I do think it's important to educate people and keep them aware of this. Well, it was like a 5-10 year long process, so strap in. And I think one of the hardest parts wasn't accepting losing him, but having to accept that like this person, these ideologies were inside him the whole time. So his name was Jared. We grew up on streets near each other, and our families knew each other before we were born because we were all homeschooled. So obviously when we were little, I had a big old crush on him because he was the only boy my age I had ever spoken to, but he had no interest in me because he was a little kid. So for a lot of the middle years, he goes back into school. We don't talk. He's in the grade above me. But once we get into high school, we actually reconnect somehow, and I forget how, but I'm a total nerd in high school, and he is like a hockey jock. But he was always a really sweet kid. So for a while I believed him when he swore his hockey friends must have stolen his phone in the locker room and sent this message to me on Snapchat that said, "Why don't you make yourself useful and send over a pic?" And when I was like, this is really random, like this doesn't seem like even your verbiage, what's going on, dude? They blocked me on everything on his phone. So we didn't talk for several years after that, and I found it a little bit weird that like, dude, we were talking every single day and you didn't even think to look me up and notice I wasn't even in your phone anymore. But anyways, he gets dumped by a girl who absolutely shatters his heart on college, and we actually reconnect because we match on Tinder. And at this point, he is emo, right? He has all the bracelets, he listens to heavy metal, he is very atheist, he has a lot of Satan stars and whatnot. He is the furthest point in the universe from the typical red pill boy. So when he's back in town, we actually go on some dates, and he gets really sick, so I bring him over some soup and like some cookies that my grandma, who I was living with at the time, homemade, and we have some really cute, like cuddling, watching TV, nothing else sort of dates. And it was just like old times. And then after that, he actually kind of rejects me by ghosting me a little bit, but he wants to remain friends. And I'm fine with that because we were friends our whole life. And the more I get to know about him in that point, the more I realize it's probably for the best because he's in a lot of therapy at that point, which is very important because he has such bad anxiety and depression and things like that that he can't even leave his home to go out in public. And also, he's still obsessed with this girl who has blocked him on everything and he won't tell me why. But one day he says he found her address and he wants to write her a letter because he thinks it'll be super duper romantic and win her back. He had this tendency to do that, right? Like romanticize all of his actions when from the outside, like this girl has blocked you on everything. She has told you not to contact her and now you're tracking down her address. And I tried to explain to him that that's kind of terrifying behavior, but I don't think he listened to me. I do think he sent the letter and I don't think anything ever came of it. But at this point, he decides he needs to completely change his life. I think his therapist suggested getting into working out, which is the beginning of the slippery slope. So again, he's still in college, living mostly in his parents' basement. He's spending thousands of dollars now on gym equipment and getting really into working out. And watching like male motivational videos, to which I believe around this time too, he decides that he doesn't need to go to therapy anymore. And I was like, no, you still can't really leave your home, dude, and you have a lot of issues. Like you definitely are not done with that. But again, he thinks that after like a short period of time, he's just completed therapy. And around this time, a couple of his friends ask how we reconnected too, because it's a question to ask. And I jokingly am like, well, we went on a couple dates and Jared rejected me, and he insists that never happened. Like he refuses to, like he denies it to his core that he ever rejected me. I was like, it's fine, it's funny, and I'm fine with it. But anyways, we're seeing other people, we're just friends. And around this time is when I met Basement Eric, the one who SA'd me and tried to kidnap me and keep me locked in his basement, right? So that causes a lot of damage. And my brain doesn't trust me to be around boys anymore. So eventually I have to explain to Jared like why I'm always sitting on the opposite side of the room or not really seeing him anymore. And he decides again in his brain, which he has made himself out to be a good person in this scenario and coming from a good place, that he can fix me actually. Because you just didn't get hugged enough as a child and you aren't shown the proper amount of affection. So he starts forcing me to like cuddle with him and hug him even when I tell him no and to stop. And from all the working out, he's becoming a very large man that I can't fight anymore, and so it's starting to get scary when he doesn't listen to me. And he also starts making this frequent joke that we need to go out on like formal friend dates because like I just deserve to be loved and shown love. Which again, I believe came from a good place, but I was like, no, like I've been on real dates. Like I've been on fine dates. It's fine. I've been on a good date before. Like I love you, dude, but you also still refuse to leave your home to go to most places, so it wouldn't work out anyways. So because his behavior towards me is actually making my issues worse at the time, I'm in a lot of intensive therapy myself for this. I have to distance myself or make sure that his other friends are around whenever we're hanging out because he doesn't do any of this stuff in front of his other friends. And an interesting note is now that he's moved home after college, instead of hanging out with his more left friends from college, he's just hanging out with his high school friends that all are on the right. And that starts to really speed up his change in behavior. And around this time, we're both dating and seeing other people, and he never really likes any of my partners, which is fair. I had a lot of duds. But The difference is every time I had a boyfriend, I really wanted to connect him with Jared. Like, I wanted them to be friends, because isn't that the goal? He finds a partner, I find a partner, you and your best friend, like, we all live happily ever after together. But no, because whenever he got a girlfriend, I was never allowed to meet her, no matter how many times I begged and asked. And also, every time he got a girlfriend, of course, she was blonde, my height, and he kind of stopped talking to me when he was dating them. Or at least he stopped forcing me to cuddle him all the time, which was a win for me. Also, the cuddling stuff started again shortly after I started hanging out with him more, but I was able to deal with it then because time had passed. He'd also slowly started using like alpha male, beta male lingo. Like, he's hanging out with his gym friends 24/7. They have daily fitness, eating, they have everything mapped out on an Excel spreadsheet. They're constantly on the grind. He's he's leaning into alpha, beta, all that terminology. I'm starting to get increasingly worried. And then he gets a new girlfriend. And this girlfriend is super religious, super conservative, right? And all of a sudden, out of the blue, Jared suddenly is talking about being religious and going to church. He's going and playing tennis and doing all these things that I've never heard of him doing before. And he's starting to say some of the concerning things he would just let slip when he was one-on-one with me out loud now. I remember our very last FaceTime. He FaceTimed me after he was playing tennis with his girlfriend. I was talking about a date I had gone on, but we didn't really click. And he starts going like, you need a beta male because you have like an alpha energy. See, I'm an alpha male, so I need like a beta housewife. It's like, I'm just stunned by everything that's coming out of his mouth all of a sudden. And then at some point, I kind of must have made the comment that I was like a little bit concerned about all the conservatives and the things he's been hanging around for him to say this. And he utters the phrase, well, technically, like, voting conservative is the most alpha male thing you can do, right? Because, like, you're voting to suppress minorities and women. You're maintaining your seat at the top. And in that singular moment, all hope in my body left, and I disconnected from the conversation entirely. Did not try to continue to engage. I just made a natural exit. Because also, sir, you are the furthest thing from an alpha male I've ever met. Like, you can barely leave the house, and now this girl has entirely changed your personality. And two, you are Asian. Now, you are half Asian, but if a white right male looked at you, he would say you are Asian. You are the minority that you are saying you're voting to suppress, sir. But I just let it go. I didn't say any of that because I knew in that moment he was too far gone. After that, I no longer took any of his texts and phone calls, and I finally reached out to one of his other girl friends to ask if he had ever done any of this to her, because he always insisted to me, like, cuddling and whatnot is just what friends do. Like, it's totally normal. She said that was weird. She said that she had never seen him act that way to her before. Like, I don't know why, but he was only doing this stuff to me. After I got that confirmation, I sat down and I wrote a thick Google Doc text to send to him, to be very clear as to why I am cutting communication with him. I am terrified of him. I am terrified of his behavior, the man he's grown into. I am disappointed. I lost my best friend, and he's become this person I don't even recognize or feel safe around anymore. I have to just accept that that boy that I shared so much of my life with, that I loved, is completely gone. I'm never gonna get him back, and I think about him all the time, and I feel like a part of me is just gone. And I'm so sorry that I can't let you back. But if you see this, I love you, and I really hope that you get better. I apologize that I couldn't really finish the story, but luckily that's pretty much the end of it, and you guys finally found out, like, the one thing I can't talk about very easily. But also, look, I bought new plants, so yay, new plants, replace men with plants.
How the partnership ended.
As much as I hate on and clown red pill content because, you know, they take shit to the extremes. And I feel like young men listening to red pill content don't have a certain level of discernment. So you can't really get from red pill content what you're meant to get from. But with all that being said, red pill content has saved a lot of young men, a lot of heartache and pain. I've said it time and time again. Women get way better advice when it comes to dating. From the time they're young till shit. Women pass on information to each other all the time about dating and how to deal with yourself and deal with men and deal with situations. And men are just starting to get that in the form of red pill content. So for example, forever, women have been telling other women, don't do wife shit if he ain't put no ring on it. And women are like, yeah, I'm not doing wife duties if I'm not a wife. And red pill guys are basically saying, don't pay any bills, don't do none of that shit until she's your wife, because that's husband duties. And women are throwing fits. That's just like a quick little example. Like, don't pay no bills, you pay for dates, You know what I'm saying? Y'all go out, you paying shit. You're not paying her phone bill, car, no rent, no none of that. That belonged to her. And so this is the first time that men are finally getting some good advice from men who've been through what these young men are about to go through. All that happy wife, happy life shit, that's not truly from men. That's from women. Red pill content isn't good for the average young mind because you ain't built up that discernment yet. But for the ones who can differentiate between the extremes and the bullshit and really listen to red pill content, man, I'm telling y'all about 70% of it is some good shit. I just can't really align myself with it. Cause some of the shit they be saying, man, it be, oh, you women lose your value after 30. Man, there's some fine ass 30-year-olds out here. I don't know what the everybody don't want kids and shit. There's some men out here who are 30 looking at fine ass 30-year-olds who don't even want kids. So what value has she lost to him? You know? But the massive majority of it is I wouldn't recommend y'all listen to that all the fucking time. These women can't stand when men have standards though. And that's what red pill content is giving a lot of young men.
Women are mad at the fact that they're starting to find themselves singles as a result of their boyfriend starting to consume red pill content. That's a trend now on TikTok. I've seen a bunch of videos that went viral about their women telling the story about the relationship ended as a result of their boyfriend started to consume red pill content. Now listen, don't get me wrong. Me personally, I'm not a fan of that kind of content. I feel like it's toxic. I feel like the content creators are weirdos and creeps. You know what I'm saying? But two things could be true at once, you know, and they are pointing to a lot of truths about how toxic some women are. So these dudes are running into this type of content, man, and they're stressed out in their relationship and whatever situation they're in, and they're like, oh man, they're talking about me. Wait, so you're telling me that I don't gotta put up with this? I don't have to deal with this? Wait, I can stand up for myself? Because a lot of these dudes are insecure, man. They have a low self-esteem, so they feel like it's almost like there's an expectation on the relationship for the woman to be able to disrespect them, you know? So they're starting to stand up for themselves, and the women, they ain't liking it. Oh, hell no, man. What? You think you can stand up to me? What? You think you can make them mad? No. You do what I tell you, and that's what it's gonna be. You know, the happy wife, happy life type mentality. And these dudes are like, hell no, I'm a man. I'm an alpha male. But it's hilarious, man. The women are pissed. I read in one of the comments, one woman said, she said, yeah, I knew it was over when I found my boyfriend listening to Dr. Jordan Peterson. And I'm like, really? Dr. Jordan Peterson? That guy's the furthest thing away from the red pill, man, that you could possibly find on the internet.
And since we're talking about red pill content, I want a lot of women who lost their man to red pill content. I want y'all to understand that 9 times out of 10, when guys get engrossed in that shit, and I'm talking about the negativity of it, the women haters and the Andrew Tate's, like, at a certain point, we have to understand Andrew Tate was playing a character and he was overblowing it on purpose. It wasn't like, bro, 90% of that shit he was doing and saying wasn't even real. You hear people talk about him like behind the scenes, they're like, he's not like that, relax. Because it was a character. But with all that being said, y'all have to understand that 9 times out of 10, when guys get fully engrossed in that, they hit an age where their feelings were no longer being validated by anyone. So, for example, they feel like, well, if she asked me for something, I have to say yes because I can't say no to her. If I say no, I feel like I'm gonna lose my girl. Unfortunately, in a lot of situations, that's true. There's a lot of guys walking around here paying women's bills, getting her gifts. She hints toward wanting her nails done. He's sending money and all that. And y'all think, oh, he just like taking care of me. No! He's afraid to lose you if he doesn't do that shit. Almost every man has been in a situation where he felt like, damn, if I don't give this girl this or do this and that, she's gonna have one less reason to want to be around me. And there's a lot of women who play that game. They play that game. They make a man feel like, well, if you ain't gonna do it for me, someone else will. Type shit. And so they hear a red pill podcast, a clip on Reels or TikTok or whatever. They hear a guy looking like me saying, bro, if she's making you feel like less because you don't want to pay for her bills, leave her. Start telling her no. Start seeing if she really like you for you and your personality and everything you bring to the table aside from money. And then they start doing it, and the women get upset because they can no longer benefit from this puppet that they've created. Now these women online talking about, I lost my man to red pill podcast and shit. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Somebody online finally told him, bro, what you going through, a lot of men are going through. We just don't sit around in circles and cry about it to other men. And this is how you fix it. And in the midst of them fixing it, you got your ass bounced. That's all that's happened.
What do you guys think about what they all had to say? If I'm still able to get more stitch, I'm hoping that more people are going to stitch and share their story. I am still going to do a part 2 to this. But in the comment section of the original video, people were dropping so many things. Like, the video has close to 11,000 comments, so people were really engaging with it. I think people prefer to, like, drop that comment and just say it there rather than putting a face to their story, because you guys know how social media can get. And you guys, it's just full of sad comments, like comments that are just so sad. Like, it could have been avoided if these people just know how to pick their battles and not follow every single thing a man said. It's just like very sad situation. Let me hear what you guys think in the comment section. I think one of the street talk about how they are still together, and under our own video there are so many comments of people saying, if I were you, I am not going to be able to stay around that man. I'm not going to be able to be around that such energy. So let me hear what you guys think about what the ladies say, and what do you think about the two men that share their own opinion and thought on this as well. Let me hear what you think in the comment section. This person said, what is funny is they get into red pill, start thinking I can do better, then realize this better women don't want them. Another person said, I am convinced that red pill content did not change them. It just revealed something that was there all along. There were so many comments like this as well, saying this is who they've always been. They just don't have the push to actually show their real self. And red pill content was like a push start for them to just show who they really are, like their real person. Another one said, my dad has gotten into red pill content, and I think it is his last ditch effort to remain on top of the society hierarchy. He realizes he's getting older and no longer a man, but now an elderly man. Another one said, my stepfather told my mom he is not a simp and threatened to divorce her. She's now divorcing him almost a year later. Not sure how she took a year of it. This person said, it started off slowly with little smart comment. It ended with him telling me that I couldn't buy a Tesla with my own money and I cancelled the wedding. Another one said, it is funny because I haven't seen one red pill man in a real relationship, but that is who they listen to. It makes 0 sense to me. This person said, red pill content broke up my whole family. A close-knit group of cousins and aunts and uncles. This is so sad, and grandparents completely shattered now. Like, this is the aftermath of consuming red pill content. This person said, my husband, it is so sad, he used to be the sweetest man, but now it is so sad everything is an argument. Another person said, as a man that almost fell into red pill, it is extremely easy and hard to fix at the same time. The easy fix is socializing and taking a absence from social media. Now the hard part is actually finding. I couldn't get the last part of this one. Another person said, my dad is like this. I have noticed that outside of basic kindness like getting a soda for one another or cooking for each other, my parents don't speak anymore. She won't even watch TV with him anymore. You guys, there are more and more comments of people revealing how their family just went downhill because of this red pill content. If you want to check the comment, I'm going to put the name of the original creator on the screen, like the creator that started this conversation, so you can just go to our comment section and see people literally sharing how their family went downhill, how their relationship, how their wedding got cancelled, how they ended things with their man. It's actually a very sad thing to read because it could have been avoided. Let me hear what you guys think about these comments and what they shared as well. Let me hear your take about red pill content, and what do you think about this whole discourse and in red pill content, people who literally lost their partners in the process. Let's continue this conversation down in the comment section, and please make sure you smash the subscribe button before you go, and I will see you guys in the next one.